Amazing, amazing. For our viewers who are like the majority are like startup founders, once they get into the stage where they want to scale, basically you could provide the right network, the right community for them to identify and overcome the challenges they see in scaling.
And I think the platform.
Hi, Will. How are you doing today?
Oh, I'm great, thank you. Yeah, enjoying the heat in the UK.
Oh, wow. Yeah. How is the weather at the moment? Summertime?
Uh, we've got a mini heat wave, so it's about 30 degrees, which is hot for the
Oh,
UK.
wow.
So yeah, it's definitely feeling like summer.
Amazing. Yeah, I just introduced you a little bit. We are all very excited to learn more about your startup, about Scale Up Global. Would you like to tell us more about Scale Up Global?
Fantastic. Yeah, no, thanks. Yeah, Scale Up Global has been going about 11 months, so still in its infancy. But we're a platform that we've developed basically based off a previous project that we conducted at a company called TechNation. We developed a platform which enabled us to track the challenges that entrepreneurs and scale ups and startups face on their journey. And the premise of the platform is we use the challenges that a leadership team is going to face in the next 12 months to be able to deliver content community around those challenges and just general advice like mentors, investors, and so on to really help them overcome those challenges.
Amazing, amazing. And you said you were incorporated 11 months ago?
That's correct.
Okay,
Still very
so
young.
yeah, still very young. How far are you with members? Like how many members do you have on board already?
We should be approaching about 100,000 companies
Wow.
by the end of this year. So we're just in the process of onboarding accelerators and incubators on a sort of global basis. So we help sort of accelerators all over the world to support their cohorts of companies. And yeah, excited to see the progress so far. We've been overwhelmed with people wanting to take part in the platform. And it's been just really exciting seeing the sort of data that we're generating around the challenges that scale ups and startups face and being able to use those data points to really group people together by challenges. So if you have 30 CFOs all expanding to the US, for example, at the same stage of growth, we can group people together based off the challenges they're facing and their background and priorities and so on. Really exciting seeing the kind of, the data points coming together to actually be able to deliver better support.
Amazing. Yeah, that's fast growth. So you like display already what you can do for your clients or in the platform. 11 months, 100,000 members. I also noticed you have a couple of big names in your portfolio, UK unicorns, large universities. Tell us more about it.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're working with some of the biggest accelerators globally, actually, in several different countries. In the UK, we have some of the biggest universities sort of using it to support their kind of spin out companies coming out of universities. We have some of the bigger corporates globally using it to support their cohorts. Even have governments and so on using it to support countries as a whole. Again, it's useful for governments to get insight into the challenges their ecosystem is facing and be able to use that data to support their kind of companies to really succeed. But yes, as a team, we've worked with about a third of the UK's unicorns to help them grow and scale, actually through our work at TechNation, which is one of the bigger accelerators in the UK. And yeah, we've been there to see companies grow from really just before Series B right the way through to the end of their journey or to that unicorn status.
Amazing. Amazing. For our viewers who are like the majority are like startup founders, once they get into the stage where they want to scale, basically you could provide the right network, the right community for them to identify and overcome the challenges they see in scaling.
And I think the platform was born out of, I guess, a necessity for us. We were running accelerator programs every year. We ran 7 accelerator programs every year. We had probably about 280 companies coming through our accelerator programs. And we were starting to get to a point where we were repeating a lot of the same we were seeing a lot of the same issues repeatedly come up year after year. So for us, it was about efficiency and actually being able to group people together rather than helping people one on one and necessarily trying to solve those challenges one to one. We realized that actually people could form a group or a cohort that were facing the same challenges and help each other to solve the problems. Plus, we could then take people that had those problems last year and put them back into the group to help those people moving forward as well. So it's a kind of pay it forward type cycle. Once you've been helped, you can help the next cohort coming through and so on.
That's really great. You mentioned main challenges the companies experience. Would you like to share what challenges these are?
Yeah, absolutely. We did quite a lot of research before we started, and we identified about 1,000 challenges in total that we thought were repeating constantly, basically. And we mapped these out over the sort of the life cycle of the business. Like we mapped out the challenges people face at kind of seed stage, Series A, for example, late seed, and going through to Series B and C. And it varies between stages. I guess as you get bigger, you start to encounter more problems with just the scale of your organization and the internationalization of your organization and so on, as well as you seek to expand to find new customers. I think in the early stages, a lot of it is around investment and funding and how you're actually going to sustain your business while you find that market fit and that traction that's really going to propel you forward. So you do evolve over time through your challenges. So yeah, bigger businesses, certainly we were saying much more about internationalization and expansion, a lot around maintaining culture at scale as well. I think that's one of the biggest.
Absolutely.
Challenges.
That's something we see in every stage, like in my work with entrepreneurs. As soon as they get into the revenue stage already, if they're funded or bootstrapped, that doesn't really matter so much. But as soon as they need a team, they always struggle, basically. Especially, it's quite easy to notice when it gets into the first scaling steps. They struggle already getting the right talents, building the right company culture. When it goes from a 3-4 people found a company and then into the first scaling process, that's something that almost every entrepreneur reports to me. And yeah, obviously, once we are going into the funding stages and globalization, we are working on another level. Different cultures, right? Different ways of communication, different ways of keeping everyone motivated in the team, right? Especially in hybrid and remote settings. Yeah, so I believe that's a very great project. How did you come up with the idea building a platform like this?
I think it was built around just the fact that we were saying challenges crop up regularly. The other side to the platform is we saw that we were producing events basically to help people overcome challenges on a regular basis. So every year we were doing even up to 200 or 300 events basically around different aspects of these challenges. But then if you look across ecosystems, the other universities or corporates and so on also running the same events. And there's a lot of repetition basically. So we identified that. And then we realized that as we were building the first version of our platform, we realized that actually there were a lot of other people that were quite interested in licensing it from us and actually using the technology we built to actually manage their own cohorts, which made us realize there was a market for it. I guess we just didn't realize how big at the time, basically, in terms of the number of accelerators that would actually need something similar. And I think when you show people the data that you can collect around your cohorts, that's the real value, basically. And it's not something you'd probably be able to do manually. You can't really look across, I don't know, if you have, say, 200 companies coming through your programs, if there's 4 or 5 C-suite that you're trying to help or leaders that you're trying to help in the teams, that's core from other people to have conversations with to keep track of current challenges are, what their current issues are, and so on. The other thing is, as we had quite a big alumni of companies building up, we wanted to keep track of where they were, their challenges were, so we could continue to help them. So a lot of accelerator programs run for, say, 6 months at a time. And after that, then people are on their own afterwards. I guess they have a limited level of support. But by actually creating a sort of online platform, then the cohorts that we were creating continue to help themselves into the future and continue to collaborate beyond the time that they spent with the accelerator. And we also ran different programs for different stages of growth. And we were starting to see people come back for 2 or 3 iterations of programs as they progressed through their scaling journey. And what was good about that was we could continue to help them in between programs and then actually line them up for the next program as soon as they were ready for it, if that makes sense.
Amazing, very helpful. Yeah. For me personally, because I'm working with the C-level, with the entrepreneur, the founder of the organization and the leadership, what kind of, like, how do your clients or members in the platform, do they report challenges that have to do with the pressure they experience as a person?
Yep. Absolutely, yes. The challenges are company-wide challenges that you might be responsible for in your role within that company. Other things are just personal things that you're experiencing, so even burnout and stress over things. It's designed to help you with the things that are keeping you awake at 2 o'clock in the morning when you wake up and think, how am I actually going to deal with this? And the nice thing is if you can put people in a group of people with other people waking up at 2 o'clock in the morning, also worrying about the same things, and some experts that are actually able to help you with those challenges, you can hear from companies and see what how they approach the challenge and how they got past that. So I think that's really valuable to people. And also just realizing that you're not on your own as well. I think being in the C-suite, particularly being a CEO, can actually be a really lonely thing to do, actually. And there's some things you feel like you can't talk to other people about and so on.
Yeah, exactly. And the last thing you want to do is like speaking with your spouse every night about your challenges. I work with a lot of entrepreneurs. They are like quite advanced already, and certainly their revenue is much higher than the revenue in my company. But they like to speak with me on a regular basis to be able to reflect, to get a third person perspective, an outside perspective, right? And being able to have someone who can give some advice on also how to get the personal life integrated into the professional life. Because yes, the pressure is high, and yes, we want to win, and we can go in maybe a year or two, right? But that's not sustainable in the long term, right? We both know, or we all know, everyone who is listening here, performance needs to be sustainable, right? So the environment, family, social life, everything needs to be fine-tuned, almost hacked, in order to ensure that you win in the long term.
Absolutely, and your partner, your family are all there on the journey with you, really, and that's something going to see a lot of ups and downs and a lot of stress and a lot of good times to celebrate as well, hopefully. But yeah, it's not an easy journey for anybody. It affects everybody around you, I think, when you're trying to build something.
Some of the founders, they sometimes forget in the process, like why they actually founded the company. Most of us, we do it because, we have a vision, we like the product, but we also want to build a better future for our family, for our children, and so on. But losing a couple of years of time, especially with your children, that's something you never get back. And I hear a lot about, there's no work-life balance, that there's something that doesn't work. I know, and I did my research. I have a doctor in this field, and it's definitely possible with the right hacks, with the right habits, daily habits, to incorporate a certain, I don't want to say work-life balance, because it sounds a little bit like you go work and then you lay down at the beach and relax a little bit. No, it's really all about being 360 degrees fulfilled in order to be the best leader you can be.
Very much. And you have to learn to leave things behind when you come to work, and you have to learn to leave things at work when you're ready to have that time out and switch off and so on. And you need to create those boundaries where you can actually afford to have some time out and some space, because you're no good to anybody when you get too tired to actually make good decisions or to react quickly to things.
Exactly. Focus and energy might suffer if you burn a little bit too long.
Absolutely. And you see it happening time again, and quite often the people around you can spot it before you do, actually. So it's true to listen to people when they're telling you to take a break and when they're telling you that you seem stressed and everything else. So it's the time to really listen.
That's why people work with a coach, right? Because we don't want to admit to ourselves like we are always like all in, right? We need someone who can reflect together with us and help us a little bit, doing the necessary little steps in order to gradually get to a healthier and more sustainable situation.
Very much. And you need those breaks throughout the day as well. You need to be able to go for a walk and get some fresh air. And sitting, particularly through the pandemic, I saw a lot of people that would sit at their desks from 8 in the morning until 9, 10 o'clock at night. And it's really unhealthy for you. You can't perform like that, basically. So you start getting physical symptoms as well as mental ones if you don't get away from the screen.
During COVID, I built a gym in my house.
There you go.
And I actually got food delivered from a Swiss restaurant every day in order to stay healthy as well. I probably was like one of the 5% globally that didn't gain weight.
Amazing.
How about yourself? Because it seems like you're very ambitious. Your startup is not even a year old, and the numbers are amazing. How do you balance work and life, personal life, and family, burnout management, stress management? What's your secret?
Yeah, absolutely. I started businesses from quite an early age, actually. So I was an entrepreneur very young, certainly in my early 20s, already founding businesses and so on. So I've been doing it for a while. So I guess in some ways that helps. But I have a young family as well. I have an 8-year-old and a 5-year-old, which keeps me on my toes, competing for attention, I guess, a lot of the time.
Yeah, I know that feeling. I have a 9-year-old.
Particularly over the summer days. It's a bit of a juggling act. But no, that's one side to my life. I've taken up running. I did that during the pandemic and so on, which it's really given me a way of just taking some time out first thing in the morning and waking myself up ready for the day. I find that really helps just to have something to focus on. So I run 5 or 10 kilometers probably most mornings
I
to just
agree.
get ready. And it's good thinking time as well. It kind of enables me to have some time to kind of take a step back and just prepare for the day and think what I really want to achieve.
Yeah.
And every day I do set myself tasks and think how am I actually going to move the dial forward. And I think that's quite a good trick to just, you're not going to have good stuff happening. There's some bad stuff that happens. But if you set yourself goals on what you want to achieve either in the week or in a day, as long as you're doing something to move the business forward every day, then I feel that's
exactly. And the right morning routine is quite important. If you start with your emails, you're just reacting. Everyone wants something, clients, your team, everyone is like pinging you. Whereas if you have the right morning routine where you can be more creative, use the creative part of the brain, then the ideas flow much better. You can better plan ahead. You're one step ahead of what's coming the rest of the day.
Very much. And you need to fight that stress as well. I think there's cortisol in the middle of your brain blocking the tips of your brain from working. And when you get stressed, then you're left in your side of your brain don't talk to each other properly. So if you can find a way to be able to unblock that and relax, basically, then you'll find that you'll actually find the solutions to things a lot quicker, which is fascinating. That neuroscience side of it is amazing. But being able to find whatever it is that enables you to switch off, whether that's going for a run or going for a walk around the countryside or whatever else, basically, there'll be something that you can find that will just give you a half an hour window maybe to enable both sides of your brain to really function properly without the stress of whatever.
Absolutely. Super important, very important. If someone listening now and is interested in your platform, and I believe a lot of people will be, depending on the stage where the organization is in now, right? But at some point, like most would be interested to come aboard. How do they do that?
There's 2 ways, basically. So one is to talk to your accelerator, basically, and ask them to sign up as an accelerator on the platform. I think we've spoken to well over 300 different accelerators globally. So hopefully some of the better ones are already onboarding as we speak. So that's been really good. But basically go through your accelerator to actually get in and get them to use the platform as well. And the idea is that once they've joined, they'll be able to invite you, and then they'll be able to connect you with people within their own accelerator, but also all over the world if necessary as well. So if you want to find other people working on similar projects or facing similar challenges and so on, you can sign up that way. The other way you can do it is to talk to us directly, basically. Say there's an inquiry form on the website, scaleup.global, and you can basically fill in your details there, and we'll be in touch letting you know how to join as part of our own sort of network within the platform and so on as well. So
Amazing.
2 different routes. Yeah, if you want the accelerator support, then highly recommend that and so on. If you want to be put into groups, basically, and just find people globally working on similar things.
Yeah, we will leave some links in the description. And if someone has some questions, they can definitely reach out to you. Will, with all your experience, you mentioned in your early or mid-20s, you started already founding organizations. You work with startup founders on a daily basis. What would be the number one advice you would give to a first-time startup founder?
Take your time before you start, I think, is probably my biggest bit of advice. There's so many early decisions that you have to make at the beginning that will set up the entire journey that you have in front of you, basically, from how much equity you give up to other people, to who you need in your business, to whether your idea is actually a good one in the first place, and so on. And I think sometimes people have been working in an industry for a while, they build up industry knowledge and so on, and then they think, hey, I've got a great idea, I'm going to quit my job and I'm going to run with it. And these days, so much of the startup world is based around finding investment and being able to move forward like that. And in many ways, like, you can still test an idea, you can build a minimum viable product or a very sort of outline version of whatever you need to build, basically, get some data points, understand whether it really is going to resonate in the way you think it is, and then decide whether you actually need investment to get going or whether actually it's something that you can do yourself and actually build around other things that you're doing and so on, and go from there. And I feel like so many people jump in with both feet, which is admirable, but there's a lot more planning I think a lot of people can do before they push themselves into that journey. So I'd just say take that time and think, what do you really want out of it? What's your end goal? Why are you doing this? As you've already said, that's a good question for people. Does your situation and your family life and everything else actually support what you're trying to do, or are you going to end up having to go back and find a job 6 months later because you can't afford to stretch your runway or anything like that, and so on. And imagine everything is going to take twice as long as you think it's going to, particularly in the start. Need to be prepared for that outcome.
At the same time, we want to ensure that we don't overthink too much, right? I work sometimes with people that see the mountain in front of them and they get scared of climbing it. There we basically work on the mindset, because everything that happens on your road becoming an entrepreneur is like preparing you and making you the person you have to be in order to win with your own organization. So I had an interview 2 weeks ago, and the lady said at the end of the interview, and I really liked it, she said, embrace the challenges. Like really enjoy every challenge. Don't see it as a problem. See it as an opportunity for growth.
Yep. And it's learning. The amount you learn when you're building a business is amazing, basically. And it's one of the reasons I love startups and scale-ups. It's just that journey that you go on, and it takes you in so many different directions. You have, when you first start, you need to be the CEO, the founder, the CFO, probably for a little bit.
Yeah, wearing many hats.
HR, whatever else, basically. Yeah. So you're going to learn far more about a lot of different roles than you would do in a corporate job, for example. And embrace that experience. I think treat it as a learning journey. Every time you do it, you get quicker at doing it, I think, as well. And you learn from your mistakes very quickly and so on as well. But also be ready to evolve. I think it's the evolution that gets you. It's very rare that you start with something in the day one that is actually what you end up with. And so much of it is about being able to listen to your customers, listen to your audience, and actually be able to evolve to actually find that fit. And it is about just product market fit, just literally changing, evolving, being able to give up your own perceptions of what something should be like and actually go with what you're hearing and what the data is saying as well.
Absolutely. The right mindset is quite important. And if someone of our listener now would like to get some advice, just reach out to me. I work with entrepreneurs on a daily basis in early stages, from the 9 to 5 to entrepreneurships until established organizations. I have a number of programs regarding mindset, burnout prevention, stress management. And thank you so much for your input, and keep us updated. I'm excited to see where you are in a year from now. I can see you scale like very fast. And I definitely gonna become a member in your platform, and we'll check it out.
Fantastic. Thanks so much for having me.
Great. Thank you, Will. Have a good day.
Bye.
All the best.